Some advice for parents giving a kid's birthday party: don't ever use red balloons. Welcome everyone. Today I'm talking about the much anticipated sequel to 2017's It Chapter 2. My thoughts on this movie and others will be based on finding positive aspects out of it, no matter how much I may or may not have liked it. And also, depending on the movie, I'll give you thoughts in mind that include inspiration from other movies, my personal feeling towards that specific movie, and how this movie impacts society and what kind of people it's aiming to please. And at the end, I give you my overall score. So if you like what you see and you want to hear more from me, just make sure to hit that subscribe button and hit that bell. But in the meantime, let's start talking It. It Chapter 2 is a sequel to the 2017 film It, and also based on the 1986 novel of the same name by Stephen King. The film is once again directed by Andy Muschietti and written by Gary Duberman. Set in 2016, 27 years after the events depicted in the first film, it stars James McAvoy, Jessica Chastain, Bill Hader, Isaiah Mustafa, Jay Ryan, James Ransone, and Andy Bean as the adult versions of the Loser Club, and of course, reprising as Pennywise the Dancing Clown, Bill Skarsgård. So It has been a movie that has been ingrained in my mind since I was a kid. I watched the Tim Curry version, and I've seen the remake of Part 1 when it was first released, and once I heard they were going to continue the story into a Part 2, I was really excited. Now with Part 1, I thought it was incredibly made in all aspects, and possibly one of Stephen King's best adaptations. Now what makes both versions work so well are the central characters, the losers, and Pennywise, our main antagonist. And once the cast was announced for Part 2, I was fully on board with their choices. As always, Bill Skarsgård brought another memorable, if minimal, presence compared to what he had in the first movie. But just as I couldn't see anyone but Tim Curry played in the original, it was the same reasoning with Skarsgård. Hilarious, weird, horrifying, threatening, just as Pennywise should be. Now right off the bat, I thought with our adult versions of the losers, Bill Hader, Jessica Chastain, and James McAvoy, they were the most impressive in that order. As whole, the entire cast brought a very uncanny presence to their younger counterparts of themselves. It was just spot on with their resemblance physically and personality-wise, even though when we're first reintroduced to them as adults, we see a very little bit of how they've changed. Now I do have to say, during our intros of the adult versions, I did feel it was a bit rushed, but for the sake of the storyline and the movie's length, it was really not as necessary to stay on top of where they have been in the last 27 years, being that we've had a chance to already see them as kids. And since I mentioned the movie's length, I just quickly want to say that at first, I was surprised to see that it would be nearly 3 hours long. And even though I questioned why not split into another movie and just make it an It trilogy, it would have been okay just like that. But here's the thing, I feel it was the best way to keep it this long. Yes, there are some scenes that really weren't that necessary and had so many characters to juggle with, but as I said in a recent Twitter about this movie, I felt that the second chapter did what the MCU did for Endgame, a grand finale for these characters all coming together to stop Pennywise, and the fact that the movie is nearly the same length as Endgame really gave that more epic credibility to it. But I took every moment in, and to be honest, it didn't feel like a 2 hour and 45 minute movie, which is how long the movie was, minus the credits. I actually enjoyed how we took time with each character and how Derry and Pennywise affected them individually. At times it kind of felt like a Freddy Krueger movie. Each sequence was different with each character of what they were scared of, even though Pennywise may not have been as present every single time. But if it wasn't the cast that I love, it was the visuals involved, the weirdness that came out of it, and this goes back all the way to the illusions Pennywise brings to life for the group. So many strange visuals that stayed with me, but it just made me want to watch the movie again to see anything that I missed the first time. Now, when comparing the book to the movie, I really can't say much because I haven't read the book yet. I just recently bought it, but I am intrigued to see those differences. From the opening shots and sequences of this movie, I really did think, though, that it didn't waste any time in showing where the story was actually heading, and without revealing too much, I was made aware that the opening sequence was actually from the book, one of the many reasons why I wanted to start reading it. And since we're talking about references from the movie, also keep an eye out from other Easter eggs from other movies that include Nightmare on Elm Street, The Shining, and there's even a cameo from our beloved author, Stephen King. The overall message, though, is something that I really did like towards the end. It's more than just them defeating Pennywise. It's all about the group being there for each other, supporting, leading, and reminding each other never to forget once they departed ways. So with that all said, I have to give this movie an 8 out of 10 on my grading scale, and I know this might be unpopular to say, but I really like this movie probably as much as the first one, and in some ways maybe even more. But if you're a Stephen King fan and you love movies and stories with multiple characterizations and an unusual yet satisfying mix of horror in an epic kind of style, then you may want to give this movie a shot. But that was my take on It Chapter 2. Make sure to leave the comments below telling me what you thought about this movie. Thank you all so much for watching, and make sure to subscribe and head back so we can talk movies and more, or anything's possible.